You have my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
Claire, I'm not standing here asking you to marry me. I'm just asking you not to marry him.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow.
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on the Al Travis Show.
Lucky to have her on. It's Megan's News and Review. Megan, how are you today?
Good. Happy to be back for another eventful week.
Well, eventful week. I'm just giving up. This is what happens. Things go on constantly in this state, and we're never going to get over it. But I would say that I feel today as if there might be some relief in sight, that possibly with the news yesterday that Trump says he'll put in Homan's coming in and the other guys going out. They'll bring down the Border Patrol people, that number down, because evidently Walz and the group said they'll have the police help out. This sure seems like a step in the right direction. You're feeling from up there, you big Twin Cities people.
Yeah, I think definitely relief in sight. And I will say, on this program, we talk a lot about, little nitty gritty stories here and there, smaller things when we need to fill airtime, when things aren't happening in the legislature. But that really has not been the case for the last year. And a little part of my heart does miss kind of having to scour the internet and find what are people actually talking about, because now everyone is so ultra consumed with the conversation surrounding ICE and ICE being in Minneapolis and all the protests, and that is just dominating things. And I think it's certainly starting to wear on people emotionally, me included.
Oh, it does. And it's weird stuff for me. And I'll put it out there and people get mad at me if you want. If ICE is out doing something and you disapprove and you're there, gotta blow the whistle. I'm not in for getting involved. But the stuff that drives me maybe a little crazier than most is you see the video where they believe ICE might be staying at a hotel and then they riot the hotel, paint things on it, shoot fireworks up. Where are the police? Where are those people? Because my point is, you're not stopping them from doing anything but sleeping. Maybe that's your goal. But what, they rented the whole thing out to ICE people and there's not Al from New Jersey there trying to sleep?
The biggest conversation I think that's happening right now that I think is really important is kind of this push and pull between local and federal law enforcement. And we're even seeing it in the case of Alex Preddy, who was killed at the hands of ICE last week, and talking about how there's a conversation surrounding the state of Minnesota is basically having an extended temporary restraining order that restricts the federal government from destroying or altering evidence related to the case. And the reason why they're doing that is because in the aftermath of that shooting, now it's the locals' job to kind of come in and clean up the scene, do the police report, do all the things. And I guess ICE may have gotten in the way of some of that, but that really it's opening you even saw, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, you had press conferences from federal officials around ICE duties, and then you got a press conference of local law enforcement, counties, cities, talking about two very different things, two very different stories. And you're seeing kind of local law enforcement feel a little bit lost in the shuffle of what is our role and how can we engage, but not really engage because we can't step on federal government's toes. And it's a conversation of federalism for sure, but that definitely has been top of people's minds.
Even if you want to take it that level, this is the federal government versus the state government and where they fit. Okay, brilliant people can have that conversation. I'm talking Al from New Jersey came to see his cousin. He's at the Hotel 6. And because somebody else thinks somebody else in the room next door, this hotel gets, I just don't understand how those folks aren't arrested. If it was Tuesday a year from now and you went and did that at a hotel, you'd all be picked up.
Yeah.
Because they believe it's ICE inside, that's a free pass. And that's where I get to a point where I use this a lot. If my youngest son were to have stolen a cookie, I said, don't have a cookie, but he took a cookie and I did nothing. The next time he sees a cookie jar, he's taking 2 cookies. It's just the way life works. And the first time they did it at a hotel, nothing happened. Now there's another hotel. And this has nothing to do whether you think what they do for a living is right. I just can't believe we've gotten to a point that that's what you see on TV all night long is what they're doing at this hotel and no one's stopping it. That's Al. Maybe that's just the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff to pick on. And maybe I'm not smart enough to figure out what the federal stuff versus the local stuff is. But if I were in one of those hotels and I wasn't ICE, I don't know. I think you sue Minneapolis. Say, where are the cops?
Well, and that's kind of, I think, the strain that local law enforcement are feeling is because you have local law enforcement departments that are being sued by the ACLU and other entities over their cooperation with ICE. And so they're walking this delicate balance of, okay, well, what is our lane? And when you have, 2,000-3,000 ICE officers in the way, essentially, of local law enforcement trying to get their job done, they have to be careful of potential lawsuits. It's hard for them to figure out, okay, well, what is our lane and how do we get involved without not being involved? And I think, this is all going to be resolved soon. I mean, like you said, we have Walz and Trump finally got on the phone yesterday. It sounds like they had a good conversation. You got tidbits from Trump on Truth Social. You got tidbits from Walz on X or Twitter, kind of painting somewhat different stories, I would say. But Trump said that Walz is happy about Border Czar Tom Homan kind of coming into the state now. He's letting Walz kind of have the BCA come in and investigate the shooting of Renee Good. I assume the same is going to happen in the case of Alex Preddy. You also have a conversation between Trump and Fry, which I find very interesting. Mayor of Minneapolis on the phone with the President of the United States. And it sounds like everyone seems to be on the same page as far as next steps go and de-escalation.
Let me ask you this. Do you know, are those phone calls taped on either side?
No, I
because
would assume.
you would think so, because here's the weird thing that when I heard they were going to talk, and then you go, okay, what are they going to say when they come out? And this is not it. This is me, a hypothetical. Fry comes out and he makes some outrageous thing. Trump's whatever, and he said this, that, and the other thing. Trump could come out and say, did not, and then the whole gap even wide. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying either one did that. They seem to be coming out each getting their own
I'm sure their
win.
media teams are in conversation, and here's what you can say, and here's what you can say, here's what you can't say. They've got to have more than just each other to
But
rely
they
on.
must have a transcript of that call, because either one could have went, any one of the three could have went off the reservation and just said some crazy thing, and then you're just, I did not. Well, yeah, you did, and then you know what I'm saying?
Because fly on the wall in that
Oh
conversation.
God, I would have loved that. That would have been made my whole life just to be okay. Then maybe they have an intermediary. You know what? That'd be interesting. Maybe they don't record it. But maybe they have somebody that everybody trusts is just an honest guy and said, Al's here on the phone.
Well,
He
I'm
heard
sure
it.
there's other people in the room at a minimum.
Well, yeah, but that back to, well, that's Trump's right-hand man. Trump's going to say what Trump's going to say. You put a lot into the trust of people you don't trust, right? Walz doesn't trust Trump. Trump doesn't trust Walz. I'm glad they got it, because today is the first day I feel like there might be a breath being taken.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens next. Now, again, stop beating up hotels, people, please. That would help me a lot. Is that fair? I think that's fair.
I think so. Yeah, I certainly think maybe not the end is not the right word to say the end is in sight, but certainly some form of a resolution, but not without a lot of fallout. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we have break coming up soon, but I'll just mention that Minnesota governor's race is heating up a little bit because you have Klobuchar, who filed last week, still no formal announcement. But then on the Republican side, you have Chris Medell, who completely dropped out of the race, citing all of this ICE stuff, saying it's been incredibly difficult and he can't really support national Republicans now with their support of these tactics. And
we'll talk about
14 candidates. So
we'll talk all about that, because I got stuff to say about all that stuff. But we should say there is no race for governor. Let's do this to get people to hang on. There is no one running on the Democratic side. It's all Republican.
Yet.
See, you got to do that. It was just a big hook to make people. We'll talk more after this.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
I've got her Megan in with Megan's News and Review. The problem is, Megan, when there's this much stuff to talk about, you miss the other stuff we should be talking about. Are there 2 special elections going on today? And I haven't spoken once about them since they started.
There are, yeah. There's 2 special elections. This could potentially and most likely will bring us back to a 67-67 tie in the House, and then DFLers with a 1-seat majority in the Senate of 34-33. So you've got 47A. There's no Republican on the ballot in that area.
That's so down. That's Minneapolis, right? I mean, this is I can see no one. It's the Twin Cities. 47.
I think it's a little bit suburban part of it,
All right.
but then you have the St. Paul seat, which is 64A. There is
Okay.
a Republican on that ballot. We know that that'll be probably a Democrat stronghold. That's a seat vacated by Mayor Herr, who's now mayor of
Yeah.
St. Paul. But yeah, 2 special elections today will probably bring us right back to where we were a year ago.
And we didn't even talk about them. That's why there's so much craziness going on. I just hate it. What are your thoughts about Tafoya getting in?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I think everyone maybe saw coming. There was a lot of chatter surrounding her potentially getting into the race. Reviews on the Republican side of her are pretty mixed. She is pro-choice, which seems to be a strong sticking point for a lot of Republicans. But she made it very clear that we know that she said, we know the Supreme Court has kind of pushed this back to the states. This is not a federal issue right now. So why are we concerned about this?
Oh, she's handling that pretty well. I mean, for her side, she really is handling that well. 2 things, if I could. She got in. Han got in like a week earlier and was just devastated
I forgot he was even running.
Yeah, I know. He got devastated by the news cycle, and it's like, oh, okay. But Tafoya gets in, and she gets in, and she has a lot behind her. First name recognition, then I think she'll be able to raise the money. I will give this, I talked about it yesterday, of having a campaign staff that knows what they're doing. Somebody bought a list somewhere, and my phone starts going off with personal messages from Michelle, by the way. Oh, Al, I was meaning to tell you, here's a secret. I'm getting in the race. I'm like, I didn't know we were
I
tight.
got him too.
Well, no, I got 2 more. After saying that, I got 2 more yesterday. My point being is her campaign is out and hitting it. I don't get that from, Royce White, David Hand. There's a whole lot. There are 10 people running for that seat. You don't hear that. So there's some momentum. She understands that. She's got some people working for her. I know I'm tired of it. I don't really. Actually, I just looked. The 2 from yesterday, different cell numbers. So every time I push stop, I get it from another. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. And when I say stop, I mean it. I know what's going on. I'll follow your race, but I don't need all that. But that being said, that's what they do today.
At least in this race, Republicans have a legitimate candidate now. I know we had Han before, not really name recognition, not a lot of buzz. Then you have Royce White, who performed terribly in 2024. Not a lot of people excited about him for very obvious reasons. And now Tafoya seems to be potentially.
I brought up the list on the Secretary of State site. There are 2 people running for that seat that have yet to put a profile picture in. Like their campaigns are too busy to put a headshot in.
They file, they pay the whatever $50 filing fee just to be on the ballot. But I think Tafoya is interesting because she is hitting the ground running, but I think she also recognized the majority of this battle will take place after the August primary. When interviewed, she said, her response to who she might be running against, because we know we have Flanagan and Craig that are kind of battling it out on the Democrat side. She said, I'm going to let those 2 fight it out and I'll have my popcorn ready. And I thought that was pretty funny. So
she's very relatable. If there's anything about her, she's very relatable. Now, on the other side, we teased on this. The governorship of Minnesota obviously will go to a Republican this time because there is no Democrat running. Megan, I know you're a young lass. I'm 60-something years old. I have never seen the Democrats have an open seat for governor in the state of Minnesota 1 week before caucuses. Are you kidding?
It won't be open long. I know maybe a month ago now, or the first show of the year that we were on, I said, "Oh, give it a week. Klobuchar will be in."
Yep.
I was wrong. Okay, but she did file, so I think she's waiting for the news cycle to kind of die down for ICE to leave Minneapolis, and then she's going to dominate the airwaves by announcing that she is running. So,
well, let's play this off.
My words. I'm not putting a time.
Mark my words again, like you marked my words 2 weeks ago. Okay, so we'll mark your word. So here, today, she won't today, in my opinion, because this downsizing of troops and Homan coming in, that's going to be the news cycle today, right? So then we'll have to see, does that draw everybody back?
How quickly do things shift? Yeah.
Yes. So this could, it's Wednesday, right? It's Tuesday. So Wednesday we get in. She can't wait till Friday to announce. Friday's a terrible news day. Saturday's a terrible day. You're going to announce on Monday before the Tuesday caucus? I think she is limited now. She has to announce
Hey,
tomorrow.
but that's pretty smart if you think about it, though, because you're generating so much buzz right before such a key date. And I mean, if no one else is running,
She's the only one on the
like,
ballot. She's going to get 100%. She's going to get 100% of the vote. What drives me nuts is there isn't one Democrat across the state of Minnesota that doesn't say, you know what, I could do a good job and almost force her hand, get in, and say my name's on the ballot. I think we need a better process
now because everybody knows she's going to run, and she's a big name. So.
Okay, on the other side, you had Republicans with 15 people. And that Madel guy got out.
You know what?
As much as he came out and they want to put the press on about, he said the Republicans are bad, yada, yada. He got no traction. The guy was going, though.
He also gave legal advice to the ICE agent who shot Renee Good. So I think it's weird to say, oh, I'm doing this because I don't believe in Republicans and what they're doing. But you also kind of shot yourself in the foot already. Like you have your own personal stuff that was kind of barring you from making any more traction anyways.
So to save the career, you go out and you blow up the whole party when you go out. I hate them all or whatever. It's like it landed with a thud. That's all I'm saying. When he got in, it was like, okay, let's see what the guy's got. He went nowhere as the straw polls went. And then, like you say, he gave some advice to a nice guy. That's got to hurt you on both sides. And all of a sudden, I'm out and you guys, I don't think the world stops for that announcement.
Yeah.
I don't think that changes a whole lot of anything. Am I nuts?
No, I agree. I mean, there's just so many candidates on that side that it just kind of is what it is now.
All right, with the last minute, I got to ask you this. Is this even legal? I read somewhere that Walz has put out an edict that you can't carry guns in the Capitol. Can he do that? They have laws at the state
It's
Capitol.
weapons screening. So you can't ban the guns. You can still legally carry if you have, your permit to carry and also your ID, by the way. You do need both.
You need them both on you and your carry permit. Yes, you do. If you went to class, you know that.
You need both, but just weapons screening. So there'll be, I'm assuming, metal detectors, some cops stationed at all the entrances. We already know that they're diminishing the number of entrances you can go into. And then I think in the Senate, you have the Senate President, Bobby Joe Champion, who's going to completely ban them on the Senate floor. So I don't know if that means if you're carrying in the Capitol and you want to go into the gallery and watch the Senate, you have to put your gun in a box or how that
Leave it at the doorstep.
He's going to ban them in the chambers, at least, it sounds like. So lessons learned from this last year, I suppose.
We'll see if that works. I know that there are folks in the, at least currently, that carry in the Senate, that they have their conceal and they carry. All right, I got to fly. I'm out of time. Megan, love having you on the program.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, and maybe we'll be talking about Klobuchar's run for governor. Maybe not. I'm not making the mistake of putting a timestamp on it, but we will be back next week talking about all the top Minnesota news stories of the week and more on the Al Travis Show with Megan's News and Review.
At Al